All right. So what's been going on, guys?
Go ahead, Sep. You're young. You're the younger one.
All right. Training for another marathon.
Yeah. Which one are you training for?
The Bayshore.
Bayshore.
The one you're supposed to do.
Yeah. When is it again?
May 28th. I'm trying to.
Wait a minute. Where's the Bay Shore?
Traverse City. It's the
Oh,
Bayshore
Traverse City.
Marathon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I hear a lot about Traverse City. I haven't been there.
The half marathon.
13.1. I'll be honest with you. I have nothing but admiration and respect for anybody that runs anything over a 10K, because that's the most I've ever run. You can't really count the Tough Mudders because even though you're going, for 11, 12 miles, there's like 22 obstacles. So you keep stopping. I think the most in any Tough Mudder you actually run is maybe 2 miles, not even, before you run into like 3 obstacles almost back to back to back. So there's a lot of stopping and going and stuff like that. But
the first race I ever ran was the Spartan Race.
The Spartan Race?
Yeah. So I got into running.
Now, I haven't done a Spartan Race. I heard they're actually harder than a Tough Mudder. I don't know. I did. There was a couple Warrior Dashes. Do they have Warrior Dashes up here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a couple of those, and then there were a couple like knockoff Tough Mudders that were horrible. I mean, just horrible. It was like you go from jumping in like a bathtub of ice in a Tough Mudder to like having to pour a cup of ice water over your head in these things. I mean, it was bad. You know what I mean? I was like, is this really happening to me right now? The news is there. You're like trying to block. You don't want anyone to see that you're actually doing this race. So
when you did that, did you train for it at all, or did you like just practice running it? What did you do
for the Tough Mudder?
Yeah.
So when for the Tough Mudder in Pittsburgh, which really wasn't Pittsburgh, if you ever do a Tough Mudder, ladies and gentlemen, they tell you it's in like this big city, but it's like 30 miles outside the city in the middle of nowhere.
Boonies, bro.
Yeah. So I trained for the one in Pittsburgh, so I had no idea. I was thinking, how am I going to train for this? What's it all about? So I started Googling all these training videos. And I put on this one with this one guy who seems like he's so serious when he's talking about it. Then he shows like how he trains, and like he gets up in the morning and he runs outside. He starts running around his house. Then he picks up a bucket of ice water, pours it over his head. Then he starts running down the street.
Is he trolling people?
Yeah, I was like, and then he gets to this part where he's in a neighbor's yard and there's a tire there. I mean, there's just a tire. He starts flipping the tire and doing push-ups in the neighbor's yard. Then he jumps over the neighbor's fence and he starts running. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? Is that my phone?
No, that was a computer. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. So, basically then I just started looking at what the obstacles were and what the distances were in between. So I was thinking to myself, when am I going to be anaerobic? When am I going to be aerobic? And really in a Tough Mudder, you're really not aerobic because you run more than, they say you go into aerobic once you run, if you take a standard track, you run 300 meters or more, or even like, let's just say if you're running, a mile, if you're racing and you're running a mile, you start going into aerobic. If you're running a 200 meter, you're running more anaerobic, right? Yeah. So I started looking and it just seemed like it was going to be more anaerobic than anything else. So I was training more for strength, like the ability to grab a wall and pull myself up and over.
Right.
And then I was training for how far can I run, because I had already run like 5, 10Ks. So I figured, okay, the running is going to be the easy part. It's going to be.
Were you doing that leading up to the Tough Mudder?
What's that? The 10Ks?
10Ks, yeah.
Yeah, I'd already done like 4 or 5 of them.
Okay.
So the running part was easy. But what I did was throughout like where, I'm from, city of Campbell, Ohio, we have like playgrounds and stuff with the monkey bars and the ropes and all that stuff. So I would run to these different playgrounds and then I would do the monkey bars, pull myself up on the ropes, do push-ups up the hill, things like that. Yeah. So, things like that. If it was wintertime, I literally would run in a T-shirt outside leading. I trained for about a year, like as if this was going to be some major obstacle for me to overcome. But honestly, the hardest part of the Tough Mudder for me was the very, very beginning. The guy was actually there. The guy that does all the infomercials, the Marine guy.
Yeah.
So, he's getting you all pumped up in the beginning. I mean, like I was to the point where like I felt like I was running out of out of the tunnel. I mean, like it was, this guy gets you motivated, right? I like tears coming down my face. I was turning around, smacking my teammates, and
Eye of the Tigers playing.
Somehow I end up in the front, right? I go running, and there's a wall. It's about 8 feet. And I'm like, I'm just going to grab the wall, climb it, and jump over. I go to grab the wall and pull up, and I'm struggling to get up over this wall. And my teammates are like, oh, shit. I mean, and then they just run and jump over the wall like nothing. And I thought to myself, is this really how?
This episode is brought to you by Red Bike Delivery. This delivery service operates only using battery-powered, eco-friendly transportation. Red Bike Delivery is there for all your delivery needs, whether it's dinner for the family, flowers for your partner, or new houseplants for your new collection. Red Bike Delivery will gladly deliver those and everything in between. So what are you waiting for? Check out Red Bike Delivery on Facebook or Instagram for more information. Red Bike Delivery, because there's only one Earth.
Go. But after that, I mean, there was no problem at all. One buddy of mine is ridiculously athletic, and you know that half slope wall you run up, and then so there's people at the top of that wall, and when you're running, you can jump and grab their hands, which is what I did, and then so I ran right up the wall, grabbed their hand, and they pull you. He ran up the wall and got to the top standing. That's how explosive he is, right? And he's got his hands up in the air, and everyone's going crazy. And I was like, asshole, yeah. I mean, but no, he was like, this is nothing, man. This is easy. But it's really, I mean, the ice bath. I swear to God, you know what I thought of when we were in the ice bath. It's only probably 5 feet. You jump in and you go about 5 feet, and there's a wall in the middle. You got to go under the water to come up on the other side.
Oh, man.
So all I could think about was, seriously, this went through my head, like the people that in the Titanic that went into that cold water and it was like sub-zero water. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, how did those people even
make it out?
Well, most of them didn't, right? Most of them didn't. But I was thinking to myself, that had to be the worst because it's painful. It's like someone stabbing you with knives. It's crazy. That was probably one of the worst parts, was jumping into the water.
My first Spartan race, we had to cross through over a little river, and I didn't want to get my socks wet. That's the worst. That's the worst feeling to me, bro. I'm like, it's only 2 miles into an 8-mile race, so I stopped to take my socks and shoes off, and then I walked through. Now it's got chunks of mud all between my toes, so I'm sitting there trying to.
I threw my shoes away
in the grass. Yeah, all to find out. Later in the race, you have to completely submerge yourself underwater in an obstacle. I felt like an idiot.
Because anybody who does these races knows it's muddy as hell, but I threw all 3 or 4 pair of shoes away after those races. They're just ruined. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it.
Muddy, wet.
Yeah. So, what did you did a 50-mile?
I did a 50-mile ultra race or run, but it was virtual. Yeah, but I didn't finish.
You didn't know that?
No, he knew. Oh. We talked about it.
Oh. Is that your cue? Did he tell you when he mentions that?
I just wanted to know some ad libs.
Yeah. But no, wait. So you didn't finish it?
No, I didn't finish.
I wouldn't even come close.
No, but I'm going to redo it this year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to redeem myself.
The same race?
Yeah, the same one.
I remember seeing a video. I could swear it was you. You were running up a hill with a running sled behind you.
Yeah, that was me. Yep.
Yeah, okay,
yep.
yeah.
All right. I actually lost a bet. My old trainer, him and I would bet on the Michigan State game every year. And I lost that year. And so I had to, I can't remember what we actually bet. I think we bet doing calories on a bike, but then we settled for me dragging the sled, running a 5K.
So you ran the 5K with the sled on you?
Yeah. Yeah, in the woods.
Yeah, I remember it was
on
in
a
the
trail.
Woods. Yeah, I remember there were leaves flying up everywhere and whatever, and you were running up and I was like, "What's he doing?"
I was out there for hours.
What was he gonna have to do? Was it the same thing?
Yep, same thing. Yeah, it took me I think 3 or 4 hours to do it.
How much did the sled weigh? 70
pounds.
Yeah, that would sucked.
I have it. I have the sled out in my garage.
Took a picture with it. Conquered it.
It's framed.
I'll tell you another thing. After the one Tough Mudder, I lost a toenail. My knee was all cut up. I look like my hands had, from doing the monkey bars up over the river, my hands were all callous and everything. Yeah. I got shocked so many times. I never swore so much in my entire life. So like in the one event you're crawling and they're like the little shock lines are hanging down. And you can just hear people just people that probably go to church every Sunday just swearing up a storm. And then we get to the one where you run through the long lines hanging down. There's like barrels of hay. And you don't know which lines are live and which ones aren't. So you got to jump over the barrels of hay. So you're in the air and you're getting shock zapped.
Oh my
my
gosh.
one buddy got knocked out. He was out cold for like a second. He came to. He was like, "How old am I?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? How old are you?" And he's probably like 6'4". So there was nowhere he can go. Like he was dead in the water. I mean, he jumped up, and I remember it was the finish line. That was the last obstacle, and you were like 10 feet from the finish line. And I'm like throwing my hands in the air like we just won a Super Bowl or whatever. And I turn around, and he's like, "Where am I? How old am I?" I'm like, "What?"
Sorry, just having the time of his life.
Do they tell you before the race that if you have like a heart issue, you probably shouldn't do it?
Yeah, you
it's
get all
like
the
when you sign
disclaimers
up.
and everything.
Yeah.
They tell you not so much. So like depending on what type of situation you have with your heart, they'll make you run around certain obstacles. Like there were people that would get to certain obstacles and go, "I ain't doing this," and they would run around
I've
it.
seen that at Spartan races. I'm
Yeah.
like, no way.
No way. You hear no
You
way.
just look at the rope climb. And
Screw
just keep it
this.
moving.
Yeah.
You don't even do the burpees.
Yeah. There's a lot of obstacles in these races where you have to have a team with you because and here's the cool thing about these races, even if you don't have a team with you, everybody helps everybody.
Yeah.
Like they do have like, these huge events where it's like the 48-hour Tough Mudder in Australia where you compete to see who can do it the whole course, how many times for 48 straight hours.
Jeez.
And I mean, it's actual competition. But like in the ones that, they have all over the United States for the most part, besides that one, it's everybody helping everybody. So like there's parts where you have walls as tall as the walls in here, and you got to have people, they cup their hands, you put your foot in their hand, they throw you over the wall. Yeah.
Right.
There's an obstacle, like a wall like the size of this.
Yeah.
And we were all muddy and wet already from the course.
Yeah.
And like I ran and I couldn't pull myself up, like using my fingers. So eventually I was able to get my forearms up. And I used my forearms to push up.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing up top to grab on.
Wow.
No.
And it was all wet and slippery.
No.
And the person
Yeah.
behind me struggling too.
Yeah. And then you go over the
Man,
wall.
push my feet, push my feet.
Then you go over the wall and you're like, "Oh, I forgot about how am I going to," you're on your way down.
Like, so most of my arms just on the wall still. And like my hand's just hanging over. And he's hanging onto my hand, pulling himself up, and got one hand on the wall. He just jumps and lets go completely, and just both hands on my hand, and my wrist just snaps down. He literally just lets go and starts to pull himself up. He's like, "Thanks, man." I'm like,
Sep's holding his head in the mud. He's like, "Yeah, you're
Push him
welcome.
off the
Tell me when you can't breathe
Disgusting,
anymore."
bro.
That's hilarious. Would you find yourself doing another one?
Man, I don't know now. I don't know. He's always he's always like,
Do it.
"Oh, we're gonna do one, bro. We're gonna do one, bro." You know, I'm
We
just
should.
like, okay.
Carry you,
We
bro.
should do one. We should discuss that right now.
Nah.
Let's plan one.
All three of us.
I'll do
What
it.
do they? You know what?
Me too.
I'm assuming they stopped them because I was getting emails.
Spartan Race bought out Tough Mudder.
What's that?
Spartan Race bought out Tough Mudder.
Oh, did they really?
Mhm.
I didn't know that. Maybe that's why I'm not getting any emails anymore from Tough Mudder. I was like, wow, they gave up on me because I haven't done one in a while. I guess.
Yeah, bought out. But
Spartan Race. How far is the Spartan Race?
there's a 3 mile, 8 mile, 13 mile.
Sign me up for that 3 mile. I'll do it. I didn't even train for it. Sign me up.
Does
Sign
he-
me up for the senior division.
Does it even have obstacles?
What, the
Yeah,
Spartan
Three,
Race?
the 3 mile.
Yeah, it's got like 20 obstacles.
Oh wow.
20 obstacles? You don't even run then. You literally have 3 miles of obstacles. I remember there's some
8 mile one.
there's some dumb obstacles too. Like
Yeah.
there's the one that's kind of funny. You always want to stand back and watch. We had one where we were running through, and there were a bunch of Marines, and they were swinging the tires. There's like 100 tires swinging back and forth. You see people getting hit, flying left and right. So that one's kind of funny. But then there's like other ones where there's like 8 cones in zigzag, and you run around the cones.
What?
And I'm like, what is this all about? I mean, stuff like that. And then there's like certain ones where there's like fire, literally fire, but it's
the smallest.
yeah, it's like it looks like
jump over it.
Like a
like my kid's holding a match there and daring you to jump over it. You know what I mean?
It's really what it's like. It's
So
like
you-
the last obstacle.
Oh man.
So we get to we get there. I remember this one in Pittsburgh. We get there, and the one lady's like, "Oh my god!" and she backs up, like she gets right to it, and the one lady
She gotta
walks
get a
over.
running start.
The one lady steps over it. She's like, "Really, Marjorie? Let's go." You know what I mean? And Marjorie goes running, and she stops, and she takes both feet and hops over it. And I'm just like, thought she was joking. She wasn't. She was dead serious. She was
Oh my
nervous
God,
as can be.
They had like a photographer by the fire too, just getting cool pictures.
Yeah,
jumping
catching
over
a
the
candid
fire.
So you get a dumb picture of yourself
It
looking.
looked
You know?
so bad,
Yeah,
bro. It was so
yeah.
embarrassing.
Oh,
I did the rope climb,
Yeah.
and I didn't wear a shirt that race,
Mm.
so sliding down.
Rope burn.
My gosh,
Yeah.
it hurt so bad.
But it's
I had
it.
short
it
shorts on
yeah.
too, so I'm just wrapped around this.
well,
thing.
go figure.
Just slid straight
Do you
down.
even have a pair of shorts that go anywhere near your knee, like anywhere remotely near your knee?
I just don't
Like he has shorts that would go remotely near his knee. I don't think you're just.
I don't know. Some people would probably argue that.
What's that?
Some people would probably
Yeah.
argue that.
At work, yeah, they probably would. At work, but
Yeah, they're-
I don't know. They're coming
there
back though,
somewhere.
so you know when the '80s shorts come back, you guys would be ready to go. You'd be good to go.
It's kind of funny watching styles come in and out
Yeah,
because some of the things that you see now is like things you would have probably seen in like the 80s.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have an '80s summer party, I think, and I already got my outfit: a cut-off shirt with the short shorts.
pocket watch.
And the socks, socks up to me, Swatch watch, the Rubik's Cube sitting over there. I'm going to take that.
Boombox.
The boom box.
New
Yeah.
Balances.
Dude, I'll tell you what, people have serious shoulder strength in the 80s because they carried those radios. I remember there was a guy that would walk around my town and 100 miles an hour everywhere with that radio on his shoulder. And I mean, he walked everywhere with that thing.
Scared of people.
And
like that.
yeah, and I was just like, he looked like David Lee Roth. He looked just like him. I used to think to myself, that guy's
You
gonna
don't know
be
who that is?
tired. You don't know who David Lee Roth is?
About to watch it.
Oh, so man. You know this is on record now that you don't know who David Lee Roth is.
He's about to
Oh,
find
I'm
out.
about to.
While you're doing that, while you're trying to figure that out.
So, SIP trains like typically I think for like competition or
Yeah.
like doing like different races and stuff. Do you find out who he was?
Kinda, yeah, an American musician.
American musician.
Look old.
He is the lead singer for Van Halen. Do you know who Van Halen is?
It's the lead singer.
Holy cow. You're making Generation X angry right now.
Oh man,
They're probably going, this guy, how
there's
about
gonna be
this
a
guy
lot
right
of
here?
them listening too because of Sarge.
Yeah.
They're about to slam
Probably text
you.
me right now. Hit that dude.
I'm ready.
Oh, here's a text now. No, it's not.
Send those short shorts back
Yeah.
to the 70s.
So what were you saying? Now he's training for
So he
competition?
trains like competition, like he
Yeah.
does a lot of like races and
Yeah.
stuff. You work out all the time too.
Yeah.
What's your purpose? Do you train for anything specifically or
You know, I really don't train. I train for general functional strength training. Just, you know, when you turn 50, I think we were talking about this. We were texting back and forth not that long ago. When you turn 50, you've got to change your game plan. Like he's sending me his regimen on how he works out.
yeah.
And so if you ever listen to my podcast, Ron the Pharmacist, who talks all about supplementation,
Yeah.
I graduated with him from high school. And he is huge into working out and you know, supplementation and you know, nutrition and all that stuff. And I told him what Sep does, and he's like, what the hell's wrong? He goes, seriously? He goes, dude, tell him by the time he's 30. I said, I already told him by the time he's 35, 40 years old, he's not going to do that anymore. Yeah, it's, you know, you have to learn to teach yourself when you get to a certain age. Like I got a buddy who is in his 60s now, and he's still powerlifting.
Oof.
His elbows are killing him, his knees are killing him, but he won't stop. He won't stop powerlifting. Just won't stop. And I keep telling him, dude, you're not gonna be able to walk in about 5 years because you just have to learn, you know, what is my purpose now? So really my purpose now is a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old, right? So those are my ages of Jake and Jordan, my kids. I'm an older dad, and I'm thinking to myself, I have to keep up with this, right? I want to throw the baseball, throw the football, shoot basketballs with them. You know, if I got to chase them down to beat them, you know, I have to be able to do that, you know. And so far it's working. They haven't outrun me yet. But I think, Jake tries to. Jordan's he's in shock when I'm coming at him. He doesn't even freezes.
One of these days.
Yeah. So right now people are like, oh my God, I'm calling my attorney. But yeah.
We're on the 80s.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, it's all general functional strength. It's my ability, to at work, people are like, you're doing why are you working on that line over there? And how come you're not in pain and this and that? You're like the oldest guy in that group, and these guys are complaining about their fingers and their elbows, and it's because they don't work out.
Yeah.
They don't work out. And
Stretch at least.
they don't practice overhead movement. A lot of my kettlebell workout literally is mimicking overhead purposely because we do so much overhead on our jobs.
Right.
And because I know what's going to happen if I don't do that. All that, if you're not using it, you lose it. So I literally do a lot of different types of swings and clean and presses and snatches with kettlebells purposely, get-ups, things of that nature, purposely to, for shoulder strength, endurance over long periods of time, because we work 8, 9, 10 hours a day. So
and you do kind of like a HIIT type of workout, right?
I do that whenever I do an intermittent fast. So if I do a 20 and 4, 20 hours of, no eating followed by 4-hour eating window, which I do twice a week. One of those 2 days, French toast, that'll break your fast. I'm gonna tell you right now. I like to, incorporate a HIIT routine for 20 to 25 minutes right before I break the fast, because you're already burning stored body fat times 10.
To burn fat?
What's that?
Do you do it to burn fat?
I do it to burn fat. I do. Not only that, but I do HIIT training also because it's a fantastic workout. But when you do HIIT, when you do high intensity interval training, it will burn fat for up to 48 hours. So even after you're done, even if you're not working out the next day, you're still in that process of burning body fat for another 24 hours on end. So I like to do that because, I'm not, when I was his age, when I was your age, I couldn't gain weight to save my life. Once I hit 40.
You weren't eating enough French toast.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. But once I turned 40, I remember all of a sudden I was 5'8", 209, and out of nowhere. And I said, wait a second, where I was going, I was like, this is not going to look good here in a couple of years. So I had to change everything. I had to change how, that powerlifting mentality went away. And it was more trying to get in the best shape I can get into. And the only time I was training for something specifically since powerlifting, my powerlifting days, was when I was doing those races. So if I was running a 10K, or if I was doing a warrior dash, or if I was doing something like that, a Tough Mudder, then I would train, for those things. But other than that, everything is geared now towards gaining lean muscle, because the older you get, the harder it is to gain muscle and the easier it is to lose muscle. And so now I do a lot of time under tension, which is one of the easiest, it's not easy, but it's one of the easiest ways to gain lean muscle tissue. So when I'm squatting, it's not down and up. It's 6 seconds down, 2 to 3 seconds up for a minute, and I'll do 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's my squatting.
That's one thing I've been trying to tell, talking to my dad, because he's he's part of that era that doesn't work out. They never really.
Mr. William Hess.
Yeah. But I've actually just recently got him into working out. And I had to explain to him, your body's going to break down as you get older, because you're not using those muscles, and you're working at GM, you're working on the line. Yeah. So doing those repetitive motions are just going to tear your body apart. Yeah. And I got him here working out, and I guess he's gotten a little bit stronger, but yeah.
Well, it's just all it takes is once somebody sees it and they catch the bug. That's all it really takes.
Yeah.
It's all about catching the bug.
Point, yeah.
What's that?
It's always about making it to that point. A lot of people don't. They don't see the results right away.
Because it's hard at first.
It is. It takes a month.
So hard. Yeah.
So if I stop for.
Well, imagine if you've never worked out.
Yeah, that's the
sore right away.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it again.
Well, not only that, but you're not going to see the results immediately, especially if you're older. It takes longer. And so, how, I've told you guys this before, we're in this generation now, and I don't just mean Generation Z or millennial generation. I mean, like, we're in this era where everybody, even my generation that did not have this growing up, now we are demanding that everything. So if I'm watching an episode of Cheers, do you know Cheers? Do you know what that is? Sitcom? Yeah. So if I'm watching on a Tuesday night on CBS at 8:00, and it ends where I'm like, what's going to happen next? I got to wait until next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Now people are like, I'm just going to stream right through the next 10 episodes.
Just wait till it goes on Netflix.
Yeah.
My wife and I talk about that all the time. The kids will never know the struggle of having to hurry up during a commercial break.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's
you can't pause the TV.
I mean, I'm from a generation where if the TV knob fell off, you had to get needle nose pliers. I'm not kidding you. And make your younger brother, and he'll tell you, Joe will tell you, I'd make him stand there and change the channel with the needle nose. Then he had the rabbit ears antenna, and I would tell him, Joe, hold them up higher. Hold them up higher. The screen's blurry. There was we talked about this on my podcast before. There was
What's the name of your podcast?
Two Brothers, One Mic.
Okay.
Yeah. It was actually more than one mic, by the way. So we talked about this one episode. This sums it all up. There was a thing back in the 80s. There was a show called Dallas. Not the Cowboys, but it was an actual, it was like a drama series. It was on every Wednesday night. And there was a dude on the show. His name was J.R. Ewing, and everybody hated his guts. Think about somebody at work who just gets on your last nerve. That was J.R. Ewing.
Everybody?
So, yeah. So there's a bunch of J.R. Ewings, right? And there was a season ending. So like in I don't know, April or May, you'd have your season ending episodes. Then the season wouldn't pick back up until September. So whatever happens, they always made sure it was something crazy at the end where you had to sit for 4 months. So the very last episode of this one season, he walks into a room and you see a gun in someone's hand with a glove on, and they fire the gun and it hits him and he falls, and that's how it ends. So then they had this huge thing all summer long, who shot JR? All these T-shirts, all this apparel. I mean, they were making millions of dollars on who shot JR. And now listen, this point in time, you got the shirt?
No, you had one.
I think it's a rag now, but I mean,
For sure, I had one.
I think it's a rag, like a dust rag or something. So like throughout the opening of the season, when you're going to find out in September, right? That night, back then there was a little over 200 million Americans, 200 million people living in America. Over 85 million people watched that show that night. Wow. So that was like that's the difference between then and now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People can't do. So the problem, getting back to what we were talking about, is that people want results right now. And they don't understand that does not happen in this game. You have to be willing to put forth the effort, and you have to have patience. And if you don't have patience, then you will fail. I mean, miserably.
What? What's up?
That's one thing running taught me, was patience.
Mm.
And now running, that takes even longer.
Forever.
Yeah.
That takes even longer. If you're talking about distance running to the point like you're doing, that would take me. I probably take a good year before I'd run a marathon, maybe a year and a half, because I would have to change everything I'm doing completely. And I don't mean quit lifting weights. I don't know why people think that. They think if I'm going to run a marathon, I shouldn't lift weights.
Yeah, I don't.
It's more beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's completely the wrong mentality to have. But it just would be a different. I wouldn't do a lot of time under tension, things of that nature. I'd still do a lot of kettlebell training. I'd still incorporate, weights and running together. I don't know about how he does it, which is beast mode over here. But like I told him, he's like, what can I do different? And I like I told Sep before, is it working for you? If it's working for you, don't.
Yeah.
Don't,
Well, I mean,
wanted to know.
the program you're doing is like an athlete program. Like, it's meant for athletes.
Yeah.
Like, a normal person can't just pick it up and do it.
They started from square one, maybe.
I don't think so.
Certain genetics have to play a role there. I mean, they like if he shows up in a tank top and his short shorts to run a marathon, the average guy showing up is going to look at him and go, "This guy's not going to go 6 miles." Like, you know what I mean? Because he looks more like a defensive back or strong safety than he does a marathon runner because of that stereotype everybody has.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he starts running, and like mile 14, that guy is like, wow, this guy's still running. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
so, and what he doesn't understand is, so whatever he's doing, all right, is working. And
What I asked him about was when I should take my pre-workout, because he mentioned how it's not such a good idea to take it after you eat. It slows down the process of the pre-workout.
yeah,
Not necessarily a bad thing, but there's better times to take it.
it's not a bad thing to take the pre-workout after you eat, but the biggest, it's not a problem, but where you don't get as much of a benefit is that once you eat and you don't allow the digestive system to go through its function, it then, it takes the pre-workout and it doesn't utilize it the way it would. It's just like if you drink a cup of coffee on an empty stomach, you're more alert, more
Right.
focused than if you drink a cup of coffee after you just got done eating a
So
loaf of French toast.
So it's better to drink it on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
So should you drink it before you eat?
That's what
No, well,
we talked
no,
about
well,
it
that would be
traffic.
that would be the same thing. Your body would be absorbing the food.
Right.
So but that doesn't mean it's not going to have any positive effects on you.
No, it still works. I just wanted to know if there's maybe a more efficient way.
Well, what people need to know though is
Hey, pull that closer.
what people need to know though is his workout. He does his running routine,
Mm-hmm.
and then an hour later, right? Less than an hour later, he's in the weight room. So he wants to take that pre-workout, right after the running routine, but he
Right.
also
But I have
eats
to
some.
snack
Yeah.
on something at least.
So well,
If
it
it's
also
little.
it also depends on what you're snacking on.
It's usually a banana, Cliff Bar, protein shake.
Can you eat the banana? Can you do that before your run? But then you're hungry after your run.
Yeah, I'm hungry after my run.
Yeah. So
You're not hungry before?
I use that running supplement, the carbs and electrolytes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll take a scoop of that.
So and that it's working for him though. So are you dead tired in the middle of your workout? Your weight room workout?
No.
No. Can we get anything other than Drake just one time?
No.
Folks, all he listens to is Drake. I every time I watch a
The
video,
Weeknd.
I put it on silent. I just watch what he's doing because I don't want to listen to Drake. I want to. How about some Van Halen, David Lee Roth?
Yeah, you on the next one.
Yeah. Help me out here. Tag me in
100%.
that one. Tag me when you do that. I want
I'll
to
find it.
Yeah.
I'll look
But
up
yeah,
those songs.
So there's no way. So that's a complicated situation where all you can do is experiment. Take the pre-workout before you run and see how it works. Take it afterward, even though you're eating something, but you're not eating a full-blown meal either.
No.
It's not like you're eating a turkey and mashed potato, dinner and then taking the pre-workout and then doing your workout. So it may not be as complicated in terms of how much you're eating if it's going to, cause negative effects with the pre-workout you're taking.
And since I don't have any other source of caffeine throughout the day or week.
That's huge. When you do pre-workout, what a lot of people don't understand is if one of the things you're looking for is focus and mental alertness and, things that caffeine provide, caffeine's one of the biggest things in pre-workout. It's one of the biggest ingredients everybody's looking for. So a lot of pre-workouts have 250, 300 milligrams of caffeine.
What's a coffee?
Coffee is about 100 milligrams for an 8-ounce cup.
Okay.
So, so if you drink 3 8-ounce cups of black coffee in the morning, it's about 300 milligrams, which is fine.
Right.
That's not a lot. I know people that drink a pot of coffee, 10 cups a day. It's over 1,000 milligrams of caffeine just in the coffee they're drinking, which is absolutely insane.
I know people that do that and don't work out. I'm like, how did?
Where's it all go?
It's definitely, you want to talk about doing damage to your adrenal glands. I mean, they look like, what are those animals with their eyes are real big all the time. So it's and then I see these same guys at work that drink a ton of coffee,
Dude,
and then
nonstop.
halfway through, they're walking around with them Monster Energy drinks.
Yeah, it's
And
insane.
It's not good for you.
Inspiring.
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
Inspiring.
And I know for a fact on your shift at work that for sure, because there's cans of Monster, empty cans of Monster. It's like a party happened the night before,
Not
and
me.
they're all over the place. I mean, they're on the floor. They're sitting on everybody's work
That's
desk
crazy,
table.
man.
So I mean,
I almost want to tell them sometimes there's better ways.
they don't care.
I don't want to look ignorant.
Yeah,
Judgmental.
What would you suggest to them?
Just trying something different. Maybe just
Like a different diet.
Maybe I'll just
Try to work out a
like,
little bit.
routine. Maybe it's something outside.
As far as energy goes,
Yeah.
see, this is another thing. It gets more complicated when somebody works a midnight shift or
Yeah.
a shift that goes from, for instance, his shift goes from 5 o'clock in the afternoon till 1:30, 2 o'clock. And before it was going all the way to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, starting a little bit later. So it's almost like working a midnight shift. Our bodies aren't made to be up that time. So it gets even more complicated because you have to watch when you drink coffee or something like a clean cup of coffee, a couple cups of coffee late at night. Your body, the way it's already set up is, it's the sun's down and it's time to go to sleep. So, you are wired for a minute, then you get extremely tired, then you get home and the sun's up and now you're wired again and you can't go to bed right away. It's why, that third shift was put in place because of increasing profitability and productivity for corporate America. I mean, it was. And they talk about health and safety and they talk about ergonomics and they talk about, the health and safety of their workers. That's about as much, as I've ever heard in my entire life. You got people working all hours of the night to get more vehicles. Oops, did I say that? Or more whatever you're producing. Widgets, we'll call them widgets. And so we need 447 widgets. And so if we don't get that, so now we're going to add this shift
You must be talking about Ford.
Yeah, some Ford people, I'll tell you.
Next Saturday,
Toyota.
Saturday after that.
Toyota. So it's amazing how, but we're just all supposed to just sit in there and be stupid and go, oh, okay, well, this is awesome, the midnight shift. Then they pay you more money, right? So you're a zombie making more money. I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's just not healthy for you. Life expectancy goes down anywhere between 3, 5, 6 years for people who work a consistent rotating shift, okay, or a consistent midnight shift over the entire career of their lives if they're working that year in, year out. That's why I'll never do it again. Just never will. Sometimes you have to if you're just starting off, right? And you don't have a choice because of, your seniority, so to speak. But the minute you get a chance, I tell people, the money is not worth it.
No, it's not.
It's not worth it. No. It's not for what it's doing to your body. I know I did it for like 6 years, and it was just miserable.
Yeah, it's a terrible shift, especially when you have kids and a family.
Yeah.
I was on it for a little bit, but one thing I admire is Sip being able to train the way he does on that shift, and it's insane.
Have to get up early.
Because I remember being on that shift, and I had like no energy, no motivation to do anything. I did work out, but it was not easy.
It honestly feels harder if I sleep in more. I feel like less energetic.
Yeah. So here's another thing: when people who work the midnight shift, okay, they say, well, I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to take a 3-hour nap. So they go to bed at 8 o'clock at night and they wake up, or 7 o'clock and wake up at 10 to go be at work at 11 at night. And what they did now was they took a 3-hour nap. So they're somewhere in their second, third cycle, all the stages. All right. You want to get a good 5 or 6 cycles in to get a full 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep over. So you just woke yourself up. That's why they say when you take a nap in the middle of the day, 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops. You don't want to get into that deep sleep because then you wake up and you're completely out of it. Whereas a 20-minute nap, you feel empowered again.
And that's what I feel like. If I were to just get up earlier and if I absolutely need a nap, I'll take a power nap.
Yeah.
And it feels better than sleeping in till like noon.
Yeah.
I feel like I have no time.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And, and last but not least, when it comes to that, the world doesn't go around the midnight shift worker. You still have to go to your doctor's appointments. They still cut the grass next door and wake you up, right?
My marathon, 6 a.m. start time.
Yeah. So, and then you have to either take a sick day or you have to take a vacation day or you have to no call, no show, 2 for 1. Or you come in on the other shift and then call off on your shift. I don't know whoever's done that.
You're not pointing fingers, are you?
No, I'm just talking about people in general. That's what people, people say that I shouldn't say that. Never mind.
No, go ahead.
No. Yeah. So someone goes to me the other day. They said my high school team was my alma mater. They were playing for the regional finals to get into the regional finals. I said, if they win tomorrow, I'm gonna VR on Saturday, because I want to go watch them. You know, my kids are going, I'm going to go with them. So they said, why don't you just come in on second shift the night before and pull a Cep? And I was like, what's that? They're like, you know, call up on your own shift. Just come in. And I just started like, I was like, pull a Cep. And everyone's like, yeah, pull a Cep. I'm like, wow, they actually call it pulling a Cep.
The funny thing is, they told me I couldn't do it again. So, like, watch.
I mean, what's going to happen?
And then, yeah, I don't know.
What can they do?
They yelled down the line.
Nothing.
They yelled down the line, hey, Sergeant's pulling a Cep. You're going to pull a Cep? I'm like, I didn't know that was what it was called, but yeah.
It is now.
Yeah.
You
Really,
coined
that
that.
was
You
crazy.
coined that move.
Yeah.
I thought it was smart.
It is kind of smart.
Yeah, it is. You got to take the ridiculous rules that are presented to you, and you got to use them to your advantage.
Probably should explain that. That's if you're working, you come in on day shift and you're a second shifter,
Yeah.
but there's an hour between the shift,
Yeah.
and you worked 4 hours of overtime, got
So how
paid
it
for
works
overtime.
is You have up to 30 minutes before your shift starts to call in.
Yeah.
To use your vacation time. So I didn't want to work the night because I had something to do that night. But I still wanted my overtime hours. So I went in early on day shift. I don't even know what time I went in.
Yeah, as soon as he walks in, people are like, oh, you know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I come in. And I'm like, I'm not staying. That shit's like,
He goes out in the
They get
parking
out.
lot,
I start at
1-800,
5.
goodbye.
They end at 4. Walk out the gate. I still have another 29 minutes to call. Make my call. I hop in the car.
Just got on speed dial.
Call in.
You videoed me one day. You're like, dude, he's like, I just called in. I'm like, you're so dumb.
I was on my way home. I was like, oh, man. This is
Management's taking notes right now.
Yeah.
Check
Yeah.
mark, check mark.
These
I
three
still got paid.
are on the blacklist.
Oh, they can go, you know where. I've lost. We could do a whole. I can't wait until we're gonna do a show on Two Brothers One Mic. We're gonna talk about. So if you guys ever listen to my podcast, I always say be the best you. So there's gonna be a show called The Worst You, and it's gonna be about what is it that makes you the worst you. And I will tell you straight up, flat out, no. And anybody I've ever worked with for the past 30 years will tell you this. My worst me is my job. I literally become Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde because it's just the ridiculous nature of that
Sarge
business.
slamming his gun around.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's
this dude
just
needs a hug right
it's
now.
just a ridiculous nature of the whole thing. It's just I tell people
I
if you
get Steve,
think that the auto worker doesn't deserve the money that they make. And you think that everyone thinks, you're rich.
Mhm.
Everyone thinks that
Yeah.
that we have the easy life,
Yeah.
that we have, everything we ever asked for in life. We have it all. And, we have 700 hours of vacation. And they always say, oh, a monkey can do your job. You guys could just sit there. And I'm just like, huh, okay. I mean, then what's the percentage? I think it's 22% of the new hires that come in. Temps or not,
They quit.
they quit.
Yeah, because
They
it's not
quit.
easy.
Hard,
out the door.
man.
Yeah.
We're used to it.
Yeah.
And
Sip almost punched a new hire in the face for not doing his job.
jeez, oh man, we're getting all this on record right now.
Probably
I
shouldn't
forgot
explain
about
that story.
kid.
I'm sure he was just joking, but no, I mean seriously, like I was training one guy. I had the group leader comes to me and says, "Hey, you wanna train this guy?" So I said, "Okay." So about 8 cars into it, I'm like talking to the guy, and I turn and look at him. His eyes are. He's like, "I'm not doing that." I go, "What do you mean you're not doing it? You've been here for 6 seconds. I mean, like, what are you gonna do?" I mean, and I'll tell you what, the guy lasted about a month. He went to medical like 6 times, and they got rid of him. I mean, I don't know why
Not
people
for
come in there
everybody.
thinking that they're just gonna like hit a button and.
Do you think that's the problem though? Like, because like back in the day, they used to do referrals, so like you came in knowing what to expect.
Right. The referral process was why you knew so many people from the same family.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like my godmother, listen, GM didn't recruit me back in 1993 because they saw me in the driveway putting my car together while somebody was moving it slowly.
Pull the
down
draft.
Yeah. That isn't how it worked. My godmother actually went into the salary personnel guy's office. That was her boss, and typed my name across his computer like 150 times.
That's a lot of
Long
letters.
Yeah, and, he walked into her office. He's like, "Who's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?" Like that, making fun of the last name. Yeah, and that's how I got in as a temp. And then about 2 years later, there was a huge retirement from our plant, and then that's how I got hired. So, you always knew, everyone always was, the question always was, who do you know?
Right.
Who do you know?
Right.
A lot of people say that.
Now it's like,
you get randoms.
It's all unemployment agencies. Yeah. And they come in and they don't know what to, like people, like their dad worked there, and then your dad gives you that speech. Don't you dare embarrass me.
Yep.
I swear to God, don't you dare embarrass me. So it was a little different then. We had a kid that got fired, I don't know, 4 times. And so the first time it happened, he came back. His dad was in our paint shop upstairs. He came down the steps, grabbed him, threw him against these lockers, and cussed him out that if he got fired again, he was like out of the family. Like he was going to be banished to some island.
Last name.
Yeah. So, that's the difference now. You got people coming in and have no idea what it's all about. And they, I try to tell people it's not even worth complaining to people that don't understand or don't do it or have never done that type of work, because they kind of just look at you like, yeah, whatever. I mean,
I know a lot of people who say like they want like a nice paying job, but like they don't want to do the hours we do.
Yeah.
Or work as hard as we do.
Yeah.
You
can't have it all.
I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. We're not making loaves of bread here. I know Sep wishes we were. Steal a few loaves for his French toast.
Rock Jr. over there.
Yeah. So, basically working out and your job is what, you see how this all comes full circle now?
Yeah.
Working out and for me is 50% of it is just so that I can handle, the work that I'm doing, and be pain free, because as time goes on, that's just the way it is. But, and again, with the kids and things of that nature, it's more functional strength for me. So if I'm able to just sit down and jump back up and not have any pain doing it, I'm good.
Yeah.
Now I told him this, got back under the bar for squatting again.
Oh.
Smith machine. And so I've been squatting with the bar, and normally I was just doing goblet squats or dumbbell squats for like 12 years now.
It still hurt.
Yeah. So I'm doing it, and I think I had like 275 when I did my sets of two reppers, and I started getting like, like I wonder how much I could squat I start.
Oh no.
Yeah. And my one buddy, I texted him that was on my powerlifting team back in the day, and he's like, "Don't do it. Stay at 275. I know that 300 now is in your head." And I was like, "What would be a big deal if I did 315 one time?" And he's like, "Then you're gonna want to do 350. Then it's gonna be 375."
And then PR comes.
Yeah. So I probably won't go that far. I'll just keep doing the time under tension whenever I squat, and switching it up between that and leg press.
Yeah.
I don't mind going heavy. It's just if I'm like 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out maybe from a race.
For running a marathon?
I'll pull back a little bit.
How long do you think you're going to run marathons? Like where do you see yourself with that now?
Whenever I stop feeling the need to be myself.
I tell you this, I went to school with a guy. He's a couple years older than me. I don't think his goal was to run a marathon in every state.
Jeez.
And I can't remember. I don't think he ran one in every state. I may be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, I think he ran a marathon in at least 28 or 29 states or 30 states. Yeah. He was on his way, and then, I don't know why he stopped. I don't talk to him on a regular basis other than Facebook.
I was going to say you should have him on your podcast.
Yeah. I don't know if he would be on the podcast or not.
Is he doing them like just to do them, or is he trying to compete?
I think he just caught a bug when he was young. He's an attorney. And so, I know he's passionate about his work. While he was doing this, his kids were younger. Now I think one is out of high school and one is somewhere in high school. I don't know what grade he's in now, but he basically just caught the bug, and then he was running. He actually ran. He was in the Boston Marathon when the bomb went off. Yeah, when the bomb went off. Yeah, I don't think he was that far from where it happened.
That'd be enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a goal. I'm sure. I'm sure that was one goal, was to run the Boston. But I don't know if he ran 50, but I know that was something that he had thought about doing. And then I know he doesn't run too much now because he kind of jokes about it on Facebook. Like he walks, something about walking with his wife and walking a mile and whatever.
Right.
I don't think I could sign up for a marathon just to say I did it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge goal. I don't think people really understand how complex that is. Like that's 26 plus miles.
I don't know. I think a lot of people understand because you tell them you ran a marathon. They're like, how far is a marathon?
Yeah.
26.2.
But even then, I think till you finally see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you ran your first marathon, like what were your thoughts when you walked up to the starting line? Or did you run a simulated one?
It was a virtual one, yeah.
Yeah, a virtual one. Okay.
It was weird because it's not like everybody's crowded around. What I did like about it was I got to start whenever I wanted.
Okay.
So I didn't have to.
How did they know? Oh, you had a chip. Did you have a
sleep.
chip, or how did they know what your time was?
You just submit it.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I used the Garmin app.
That's how my ultra race was too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wasn't nervous or anything.
Now, was that because of COVID at that time they did it that way?
Yep.
So how was it when you ran the one in Miami?
I hated it.
Because of the people?
Everything.
The heat, the people,
Yep.
what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the above.
No, bro.
So when is Bay City?
May 28th.
Okay, so Traverse City, that won't be a really hot time of the year. That'll be like
It'll be
50s, 60s.
60s.
Yeah,
Which
okay.
is prime. No, the Miami one, I was not ready for that one.
The heat took a toll?
It definitely played a factor. I only slept 2 hours before the race.
Okay, so
I couldn't.
yeah.
Dude, your
My
mic keeps
oatmeal.
cutting in and out.
I only got like one bite of my oatmeal in before the race. I couldn't stomach anything.
When did
with
you-
The lack of sleep.
2 hours before the race, you ate some oatmeal?
No,
You ate no
I
oatmeal.
tried.
Oh, okay.
I had a bite, but I just couldn't stomach it.
Nerves?
Just lack of sleep.
Why didn't you sleep?
I
Partying.
was,
He's
You and Drake. You and Drake were out at the club.
Beach getting faded.
Uh.
No, our flight was Friday morning.
Did you say getting faded? Jeez, oh,
Our
man.
flight was Friday morning. I was supposed to land in Miami at noon, and the race was Sunday morning.
Oh, I remember you posted something
so
about that. Yeah.
I literally was supposed to be there at noon. I didn't get in till 9 p.m. And we still had to go back and get my buddy who caught the flight after us because we were just on standby list from the delays.
Oh.
So we didn't even get back settled in till like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. after getting our luggage and everything.
Yeah.
We landed. So
I think-
at that point,
I think it'd be hard to run a race like when you have to travel.
Yeah.
Like you got to
Well,
be
I
there for like a
thought-
week to acclimate
my
and
thought
everything.
process is like, we'll get there, we'll go to the beach or something. Like the sun will drain me. I will get tired and fall asleep at like 9, 10. I will crash.
What was the temperature?
77,
Yeah.
78. But
Plus
I'm
the
used to
humidity.
running in the snow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's huge right there because if you're running, the temp plays a huge role on your body when it comes to
oh yeah,
because
my heart rate was just
it went from 25 degrees outside, 20 degrees outside, to 77 degrees outside. That's
the
gonna play.
sun's just beaming,
Yeah,
especially on the bridges.
Did you run it shirtless?
Oh yeah,
you have to.
have to, 100%. No, that was bad.
David Lee Roth did all his
So-
concerts shirtless.
Yeah, that's my
You,
guy.
you should know. You should know.
This is the Van Halen
You never heard the song "Jump." Might as well jump. Oh my goodness.
Probably on a scratch record somewhere.
No, he's. You know who Eddie Van Halen is?
Yeah,
Who is he?
it's Van Halen dude's brother.
Wow. You're not making any fans in Generation X, I can tell you that.
That's fine. I'll live with that. But no, I didn't like the Miami race. Part of me was like, I should just do it again and try and conquer it. It really got the
Well,
best of me.
is it you what you need is a Miami race where it's like in, August or September where you're training up here and the temperature is
acclimated?
relatively warmer at least, but
Yeah.
they probably don't want to run that race in Miami in August or
Yeah.
September.
I
You're
don't
probably
want
running
to.
95
I
degree
don't
heat.
even want to go back.
You just hated everything.
I hated
the
everything
people.
about it, dude.
Was that new hire you almost
Lots
punched? Was
of-
he down there when that happened?
I wish he was.
Yeah.
Got some anger out.
Yeah. So
it could have gone worse, but I didn't stop at any point of the race. So
Yeah.
that was like the only plus side I took out of it. Everybody's like, "Oh, like at least you did it." I'm like,
Yeah, I hate it when people say that.
Oh man,
At least you did it.
It's not good enough for me.
You did more than what anybody else would do.
Like my first marathon, I ran.
Some people are like that. Some people are just happy with getting something done, and some people are never happy.
I trained so long for that.
I tell people, don't ever be happy. Once you're happy, you're done. If you're once you're happy with your numbers, whether it's academics, whether it's athletics, whether it's anything, once you're happy with where you're at, look at the company we work for. They're never happy, right? Yeah, right. They can make $12 billion, and then it's like, well, we can probably make $13 billion. Don't you think? Maybe if we just add a third shift, have these people work midnight. So I mean,
a couple people, add some elements,
building 600 widgets, but so I mean, basically, in all seriousness, once you're happy with, once you're complacent, once you say, you know what, I'm good with that, you're done. That's it. Yeah. Move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Because your desire to push yourself to do better is probably plummeted to almost zero at that point.
Yeah.
I have goals in mind as far as retirement goes. And that's what keeps me focused on the retirement process are those goals. Obviously, once I hit those goals,
form new goals.
You have to form new goals. Like, but next? If I don't do that, then I'm that old guy that just sits on the couch or his chair. I'll have my own personal chair like Archie Bunker. You know who that is? Yeah. Okay. And just sitting there all day long watching TV, watching Netflix over and over again, rather than, a million other things I want to do, including, podcasts, training athletes, working with other people, traveling, things of that nature. But I never got that with people who say they don't want to retire because they don't know what else to do because their whole life. Yeah. I worked in Lordstown, Ohio, in General Motors with a guy named Art. Art was 84 years old, and he's 84 years old, and we were coming up on contract time. Art had been with General Motors for 52 years.
Jeez.
So listen, 52 years. Lordstown wasn't even around that long at this point. He come from another plant that closed, I think Oklahoma City, and so Art says to me, contract coming up. He says they're talking about offering $60,000. Now I'm hearing $50,000. He said if they don't offer $60,000 on top of his pension, he's not going. And I said, Art,
gotta let it go.
I said, Art, they're gonna will you out of here, buddy. And I said, I don't understand. Like, it's $10,000, and if you haven't made whatever you're gonna make by now, and he said to me, he said, Sarge, I don't know what else to do with myself.
Wow.
For 52 years, I've been doing this.
Tough.
That's sad.
And it's sad. And he, from what I heard, when Lordstown closed, when they closed Lordstown,
he's still there.
He went to Parma, our fabricating plant, a GM fabricating plant, like an hour and 15 minutes from Lordstown.
Oh my God!
And I don't know if he's retired yet. I have no idea, or if he's even alive. I don't know. I have no one's heard him. I don't know if they just put Art somewhere in a room in the back. He just sits there, has a caretaker and everything.
At work.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a life.
Yeah.
Wake up earlier.
Yeah. It's all they know. It's
you
all
have
they
to
know.
have meaning.
Yeah.
What kind of life is that?
I don't know.
Where you live to work.
But if anything, it taught me, don't dare have that situation happen to you. It'd be 88. They'll be like, move Sarge over down the line over there.
Sarge still throwing bolts.
I have my own nurse in the plant taking care of me. So did anybody feed Sarge? They're just sitting there, half asleep. I mean,
the shaker bottle,
yelling, "Shut the line down!" You know, I mean, it's like. So I mean, I definitely don't want to do that. So, I see 3 years tops, and then if not sooner, and then
1.5.
Time to go. What's that?
Maybe 1.5 with all the changes.
Depends on what our boss wants from us.
More widgets.
I had all kind of adjectives. But it depends on what road they take, what route they go. I mean, I stopped trying to figure it out because you get a headache when you start trying to figure out what's next.
You go full-time training?
I'll do full-time training. Our podcast will be full-time go. Probably at that point a studio, right? I'm still in these pictures from David. And
you know who gave that to me?
No.
Tim Carter.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, it was like a big scroll,
Uh-huh.
and I cut it up and mounted it on the
Okay.
the pieces of wood. Yeah.
I seen it like a couple of your last episodes. I seen it on the wall, and I was like, that wasn't there when I was there.
No.
But and then I realized it wasn't the same area.
Nope, different room.
A different room. I was like, wow, he changed the room. The mic's working. Everything seems to be fine now.
Hopefully, we'll see after.
Yeah. That one episode you did. If anybody who didn't see that episode with the gentleman who lost one arm, one leg.
Oh, Noah Galloway.
Yeah. Did you listen to that yet?
Yeah.
That interview? Wow. Talk about a guy who could easily just go south right now and just give up on life.
I actually wanted to bring him up when you were talking about the like the Spartan races and stuff. Because he does those all the time.
Yeah.
And I found that amazing that he has one arm and one leg and he's able to do. Could you imagine doing that?
Bro? No.
Yeah, and he does it like in his interview. I'm waiting for him to talk about like how at times he just seemed like
Happy.
he actually made a couple jokes about it, a couple times and this and that, but you could sit there and go, oh, I can do that too, but you think in your head, how would I react?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Why would I even do it?
Yeah, and he talked about, in the beginning it was, some dark times for him, and it took a while to get to where he's at now. But that was a great interview for sure.
I feel like a lot of people need to go through some of those hard times.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm sure in the beginning when
Maybe
you first,
not to that extent, but
because he lost his arm and his leg on tour in Afghanistan, right?
Yeah.
So you just think about that, and you're just like, whew.
I mean, so many people give themselves excuses like to why they can't do something. Oh, I can't work out because I got a bad shoulder. I got bad knees. Like, you don't have an excuse. Like this guy over here who
guy's
doesn't
got one
have
arm and one leg,
he doesn't want to
and he's doing Spartan races, and you're going to tell me about your elbow?
Yeah.
He was on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
And he was talking about holding the lady up with one arm. Like, it's crazy.
It's hard.
It's insane.
That's hard.
That's a lot. Then there's a good reason to do kettlebell training, right?
Yeah.
There. If you're gonna be on Dancing with the Stars,
he talked about that too.
Yeah. So I mean, that was. But nonetheless, I was listening to that podcast. I think that's when I first noticed that David had new pictures in the new room. His mic was working and everything. So I don't know. I mean, I tell people this all the time. You could talk all day long about your workouts, or how you handle the workouts, but if in terms of your mindset, if you don't have the right mindset, it don't matter what you plan on doing, you're not going to do it if your mindset is not right. It's got to be right, and you've got to be willing to overcome obstacles. Plain and simple.
Build discipline.
Huge amount of discipline for sure. I mean, look at how many professional athletes out there that all of a sudden they're just gone, and you're like, what happened to this guy? What happened to that guy? I don't know exactly what happened. Nobody knows exactly what happened to Antonio Brown, right? That exit was a little awkward, right?
Yeah.
And people make fun of it, but I wonder what's going on in his head. Like something really, did they push him to that? Or, did he take a couple of hits to the head? Because he took some vicious hits in his career. And, does he have a little bit of CTE or something like that with his?
I mean, he posted on Instagram afterwards. He was like, I appreciate the opportunity. So he thanked them for everything they had done, but.
And then he teed off on them and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, thanks, but let me tell you something. and so you just see like guys that, when he was with the Steelers, I was like, this dude is just unstoppable. Like right now, Devontae Adams with the Packers. It's going to be interesting to see how he handles this situation now because they franchise tagged him. So is he going to still produce the same? How is he going to mentally? We already know how good he is physically, but mentally, how's he going to handle this situation? What's his relationship with Aaron Rodgers going to be? Because they had a franchise tag him because of the amount of money that they're giving to Aaron. And so is he going to say, hey, I'm still one of the top 5 receivers payment-wise in the NFL, and I get to play with the guy who's gotten me and me gotten him to where he's at? Or is he going to be like, I'm dropping the ball on purpose now?
No way.
I'm dropping the ball on purpose now. And you see that.
Franchise tag.
You see it, though. And
I think it's when I seen him run off the field like that, though, I thought that was
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty remarkable because I'm like, he has it all. Like, he has everything, and he was willing to just like say, "Fuck it, I'm done."
Though the memes,
the memes were pretty
I'm like, there might be something really wrong with this guy. These guys keep posting memes, and I'm trying not to laugh, but it was just funny as hell. I mean,
I was trying not to judge it until I figured out like the whole story.
Yeah,
I wanted to hear what he had to say about it.
yeah.
Then they were like putting him. He was everywhere. Like that picture of him, they would cut it out. They'd put it in McDonald's drive-through at the gas station with the prices are $5 a gallon, and you see him like running with his shirt off through the gas station. I'm just like, what? Who like someone out there is making a lot of money.
Yeah.
I bet you doing this stuff.
Generating memes.
I don't know why I don't
that's
think of this
hilarious.
stuff. So there's that.
Well, should we wrap this up? We're
Yeah, I
about
mean, how long have we been talking?
an hour and 4 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a good hour and 4 minutes is probably the once you get to an hour and 15 minutes,
Yeah, people check out.
people start checking out. I
Yeah.
think depends on what you're talking about. I don't know. Some podcasts people listen the whole time. Some
Sometimes I don't care though. Like if I'm having a good conversation and it just keeps going and
Yeah.
going, and going, I'm like,
yeah,
they'll listen.
I
If they like it, they'll listen.
4-hour
Yeah.
ones while I'm at work.
you never know.
Yeah.
The cool thing about podcasting is, I tell people this all the time. We have shows. We've done 40. We've done over 50 that we've recorded, but so far we have like 46 that have aired,
Okay.
or 45 or 46. We have shows that have a couple hundred listens. Then we have a show that has 35 listens.
Yeah.
Then I'll go back the next week and it's got 40 listens, but it's a show from 2 months ago.
Right. Right.
So the cool thing is new people come aboard on the podcast and your shows are still
Start to
sitting
go
there.
back, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there's a show in our, there's a show in your, in your portfolio
Mm-hmm.
that may have not done good when you first aired it. And 2 years from now,
It'll explode.
as your podcast gets bigger, people
Yeah.
go back and they're like, oh, let me listen to this one.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it just blows up. So
I always tell people not to. Don't
Yeah.
go back and listen to my old ones.
you know what? I tell me and my brother joke, the very first one we did, it sounds like now, it's like, hey, everybody, welcome back to Two Brothers One Mike. I'm Joe. And as always, my brother Tony is here. And I'm like, what's going on, everybody in T-Bomb land? But the first show, it was like we were behind this curtain over here. He's like, hey, everyone, this is Joe. And Tony's here. Tony. And I'm like, hi, everybody. And I'm like listening to him, like, we sound like we're afraid to come out, like we're hiding and we're.
And they realized they needed 2 mics.
Yeah. Everyone's like, I can't wait for the audio, the video, because I can't wait to see this mic you guys are going to have. I'm like, no, it's 2 brothers, 1 voice. So we just call it 2 brothers, 1 mic. It's not literally one big mic coming down from the ceiling where we're all like huddled around the mic looking like, idiots around this one microphone.
I definitely think you need to have one microphone.
Yeah. Maybe for show, but it don't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
A good idea. Yeah.
Dangling from the ceiling.
Yeah. We can try that. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure this will be the setup. I mean, somehow, some way. The room is actually probably about this size, maybe a little bit bigger. Not much. So
This is like kind of a perfect size.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish it was a little bit bigger like that way because then like the cameras could sit back a little further and whatnot. But
it probably
is
helps
perfect.
in terms of sound.
yeah.
Not the bigger the room, the sound's bouncing further away and echoing, or no?
No, not really.
No.
I mean, these mics sound really good.
Because of this, yeah.
So like, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like the further I get, you don't hear like an echo or like it vibrating. Or
No,
anything,
actually,
so.
you don't. No, I mean, because when I listen to your show, I don't hear it.
Yeah.
If I'm in, it depends on what room I'm in right now because
Yeah.
we don't do the studio; it's all audio. And I have a regular set of headphones on. I've done them where I'm in my car and Joe's like, "We need to do a podcast," and I pull over in a parking lot.
People are honking and stuff.
Yeah, I pull over in a parking lot. We're doing a podcast this Wednesday. We interview Vinny Fastline, comedian actor from Los Angeles, and he had something come up where he had a meeting with somebody, and he's like, we might have to reschedule. I said, let's just reschedule, and he's like, no, I want to do it. So he pulled over on some street and did the podcast, and it's like, so that's kind of the cool thing too.
Yeah.
Like nobody even knew. He's like, nobody even knew. Well, he mentioned it because obviously the comedian comes out in him, But so that's the kind of the cool thing is you kind of can just do it at spur of the moment.
Yeah.
But the bad thing is you don't have this type of, like you could tell when my brother's talking, he's in the little studio room at his house with this microphone type of deal.
Yeah.
I'm on these, so I don't sound like
Earbuds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sounds like this. I sound like I'm just talking to you on the phone. Yeah. So
That's not. It's not a bad sound though.
No, it's not.
It sounds fine.
Yeah. But I mean, we can't wait to get to the audio.
Yeah.
I mean the video part of it.
So do you have plans for that?
We keep going. Yeah, we keep going back and forth on how that's going to go. And there's a few specific things. The room we're looking at using right now is in my house, and it needs a few repairs on the one wall. And so I'm looking at different contractors that have to do this one repair before we go there. Then we're looking at, we don't have the sound table yet, right? We only have one of those mics, so yeah. So which is enough. Sep just wants us to throw the mic back and forth to each
Just
other.
swing it back.
Yeah. And things that we have a couple of the cameras, we have the lighting, things of that nature, and the basic setup of the room. But there's that, and then there's, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know a lot of people are asking.
Yeah.
So we can't play around with it. Like it's something we're seriously looking at. When it comes to exercising, we're looking at that as well.
Yeah.
Because when we do a show about exercising, I'm sitting there describing, and I'm trying to talk about, if I'm trying to talk about, the proper squatting form, and I'm trying to have people picture, shoulders above hips, knees not out over your toes, driving through with the arch and the heel of your foot, bar sitting below your neck across the shoulders, squeeze the bar against your back, driving up, you should be looking out at about a 45 degree. If people are like, Joe's looking at the analytics. He's like, this is right where we start losing people on this show when you start describing the squat. Yeah, because people are like, we want to see. Yeah, we want to see the squat. We don't want to.
I do enjoy podcasts more when you can watch.
Yeah. I mean, even like
it doesn't
when
make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
Especially if they're talking about something and then they like show it on the screen, then you can go and like see what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, like Rogan. I mean, you're talking about you're talking about the top of the podcast world. When it's fun to like see the facial expressions.
Yeah.
And when they're talking to each other, and then sometimes they'll put like B-roll film on there, like you'll see like an example of this or an example of that, or things of that nature.
That's my goal, is to be able to do that.
My goal is to have Neil Young cancel whatever podcast station I am on, because if I can get that, I mean, you're there. When Neil Young is canceling you, a Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
Who's Neil Young? No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't know.
Yeah, well, so many of your generation said that. Who the hell's Neil Young? But I mean, I was never a Neil Young. I didn't really listen to too much of his music. I get it.
He's older than you. Like that's a different generation.
He's a boomer.
Right.
And this one calls me boomer. Yeah, he's a boomer. He's in his mid to late 70s.
Yeah, he's old.
And that's how old boomers are. Right. My parents are boomers, right? And they're early 70s to mid 70s. Generation X, we're not the boomers. He keeps calling me boomer. I'm like, not a boomer, but okay.
I'll never stop.
when you get Neil Young canceling because of you, then you've reached your
peak.
Your peak.
Yeah.
You've reached. You're there. You've arrived. So that's my goal. My goal is.
It's kind of funny though, because they sang about like wanting to they like advocated for freedom back in the day.
Oh, that was the 60s,
Yeah.
That was the keep on rocking in the free world, right? I mean, that's
kind of funny.
Yeah, that was that's all that was the a lot of drugs going around then, and a lot of why can't I think of it? What is that? The big where all the people went for all the concerts. Woodstock, yeah. Look at that. He knew. I couldn't remember, but So I mean, Woodstock and that. That's what he was, and so it is funny when all of a sudden we're getting butthurt over people's freedom of speech, but whatever.
Well, we definitely live in soft times.
Oh. And what kills me is my generation is a big problem, and I'm like, I want to knock on all their doors, and I just want to go door to door, just have a camera follow me, knock on, like read people's posts, Find out where they live, knock on a door, give me your Generation X card. You're done. You're out. You're done. You're done. We're moving you all the way down to Generation Z. You're done.
You can do that after retirement.
Do you ever see the post that I put up? Yeah. Did you hear what he just said? You could do that after retirement. Did you ever see the post that I put up on Facebook? Folks, if you've ever look at Facebook, or if you ever could Google this, it's a guy walking, and he's walking through a doorway, and it's the AC/DC song playing, Highway to Hell. It's just the music playing in the background. And it says the 70s, and he bumps into the door like he's going shoulder to shoulder with somebody, and he keeps walking like he never even did it. Then it says the 80s, and he bumps into the door, and then he stops and gets in the door's face like you got a problem. Then it says the 90s, and he bumps into the door, and you see him go like that, and then it says 2000s. He bumps in the door, he falls on the floor, and he gets his phone and takes a picture of himself laying on the floor.
Right, looking for a lawsuit.
Yeah, looking for a lawsuit. It's one of my favorite videos ever.
That's
look
hilarious.
It up. You gotta look that up. It's
I think
hilarious.
I've seen that before. I think I've seen you share it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite videos ever.
Wow.
That's all I got to say.
Inaccurate.
Yeah. Hey, it is inaccurate because I
It's funny, though.
I train so many young people that are not like that. I mean, I always tell people
like it, but
yeah, it's fun to joke with Generation Z. It's fun to joke with millennials.
Well, I mean, a lot of it is a loud minority. Like,
Yeah.
It's just the people on Facebook and
Yeah.
TikTok and whatever, like being soft
Yeah.
as fuck.
People, people,
representatives of the-
people say to me, "Why do you hate Generation Z?" I'm like, I love Generation Z. Why do you think I train kids? It's me just making fun of the people that are my age
Right.
that act like, like it's such a difference. There's no difference. Generation Z is going through, listen, what these kids, young kids have gone through the last 2 years. I mean, you want to talk about just a bunch of baloney.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you want to talk about a bunch of bullshit. I mean, that's what that is, plain and
it's up
simple.
there. It's top
I
five.
mean, they went through, these kids that were juniors and seniors lost everything when it comes to their proms, when it comes to playing sports, I mean, they can't get that
Yeah.
back.
No.
Yeah, the graduation. I mean, they did bring some kids back to graduate, but
Yeah.
a lot of them can't make it because they're away at college.
Right.
Yeah, so they lost a lot of their youth because of what happened. So I mean, they're gonna persevere through it. I always tell the kids, I'm like, you're gonna be able to say one day when you're older, you think you got it bad, little guy? Let me tell you what I had to go through in 2019, 20, and 21.
Back when we were canceling Joe Rogan.
Yeah. You know how back in
For
the
talking
day,
about it.
They'd be back in the day when your grandfather talks about $10 for to fill up his tank in his car. Well, it cost me $150. Yeah.
Yeah, after
So-
a world pandemic.
Yeah. So
In World War III.
yeah, basically.
All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up. Is there anything else you guys want to say? Go find Two Brothers One Mic on
Yeah.
where can you find it?
You could find it on any
Boomers.com.
podcast station. Yeah. Boomers.com. Is that a podcast station?
It might be.
Yeah. But so Spotify, Castbox.
I think SIP sponsors that one.
Yeah. Facebook has a podcast. Google, Anchor, Apple. We're basically anywhere. Two Brothers, One Mic, and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. we air a new episode, and then any episode that's already been aired, obviously you can find on our website, and so we're on Facebook, obviously. Two Brothers, One Mic on Facebook. We're not on Instagram yet, but we're going to be. Obviously, when you're doing video, it's easier to be on Instagram.
I don't know. You could post pictures.
Yeah, but I mean,
Shirtless.
most of the yeah. That's one thing. I asked my brother, said, should I work out shirtless with like oil on me? And he just kind of like looked at me. So I sent him a video one time of me shirtless, and I was like pointing at the camera, talking. He's like, don't you even think about it? Because I was making fun of. I was making fun of. You ever see these guys? Like, there's these guys. You see them on Facebook all the time. They do their infomercials. The one guy, I have no idea what he looks like with clothes on. He literally never has a shirt on every time he promotes his products.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And it's just like, dude, I mean, like all of a sudden the camera's on him. He's doing jumping jacks, which are the worst looking jumping jacks I've ever seen in my life. And then he's like, pretending like he's sweating. He's like, he has his protein powder. And he's like, this is what I take. And And he's all pumped up. He's ripped. He's got baby oil all over him, thinking he's not sweating. His hair's all perfect. And he's like, this is what I take. And he's like, I eat whatever I want. And he grabs a double cheeseburger. And come like, I don't know where this double cheeseburger that appears in his hand. And he's like, I can eat this when I take this. And I'm like,
That's where a lot
my
of
God.
unrealistic expectations come from.
Yeah.
Shit like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You see that.
Yeah.
And you just
So,
assume
yeah.
that's where you should be.
So no, I'm not doing any topless. I'll leave that up to Sep. I'm not doing any topless.
I think he's got that under control.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. Unless I get tattoos. If I get tattoos, then I'll do a topless one.
I'll pay for it. I'll pay for
Remember you said that. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, you got anything else you want to say, Sip?
No.
No.
I always like listening to Sarge.
Yeah, he's good at podcasting.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the gift of gab, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes I'm thinking when people say you're pretty good at what you're doing, I'm thinking, are they telling me I talk too much? Yeah, I automatically
you
go.
know a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I go the opposite way when I'm like, son of a bitch, she's telling me I talk too much. You know what I mean?
My dad listened to our podcast when we did that didn't record good, but he was like, that guy's smart. He knows what he's talking about.
Well, my brother listened to it, and my brother was like, listen, he's like, you get the gist of what you guys are talking about in it. He goes, it's just annoying the way you guys were cutting out back and forth. Like people might get annoyed at that.
Yeah.
But you can always just do another one again. So
It's still a good podcast.
yeah, I thought it was a really good podcast, and that was off the cuff. It wasn't like
I was gonna stop the live recording, and Sip was like, "No, keep going."
well, no, then I
bored at work.
Yeah, you kept butting in on that. I was like, tell him to go to work. Isn't he doing anything? Isn't he shooting castle nuts?
That's why people think our jobs are easy.
Yeah, because you're watching YouTube.
Harassing boomers on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure, guys. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Yeah,
Do it
absolutely.
again.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.